Greetings and welcome to the Southside Help Center show. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. This is going to be a fabulous show. I have a phenomenal individual with me today, and the first thing I need you to do is make sure that you get a pen and a piece of paper in case you have any questions. You can write them down, then call us here at the show. This is a live call-in show. Our number here is 312-788-1060. Please do call here at the show if you have any questions for Mr. Spraggins. The other thing is this is a CAN TV is live stream, so you can get us on the internet. Just go to CAN TV live stream. You'll be able to pick us up on the internet. So if you know people who are not in Chicago, want to tune in, please give them that information. Also, go to our website, www.southsidehelp.org. Check out the programs. Over the last 5-6 weeks, we've been talking about the programs the Southside Help Center has to offer. This happened to be our 25th year in business. We've been doing HIV prevention and education, violence prevention, just a whole plethora of different programs over the last 25 years and been very successful. And the only reason we're successful is because of the people who are out there viewing right now, the people who take advantage of the programs that the center has to offer. Really quickly, make sure that you get your kids registered for the after-school program. The after-school program is currently taking registration, so please go to the website or either call the agency 773-445-5445. Help us to help you get those kids involved in the after-school program. We know the less time they have to think on their own, the better are they off. So please check out the programs that the center has to offer. We've been doing them for a number of years. We have quite a few success stories, so please check in, check us out, come in, check us out. Over on the phones, we got Shauna G over there on the phone, so please put her to work and please call in. Today I got Mr. Lewis Spraggins. I mean, I've seen Lewis do this show many, many times, and that's only because Lewis has such a wealth of knowledge. I've been knowing Lewis since he was about 16 years old. That just tells you how long he and I have been doing this type of work. And again, it's not for the pay. It's definitely for the passion that we have in our hearts for HIV prevention and education, because it's definitely not for the pay. He and I both have been doing it for quite some time. And he has a wealth of knowledge, and that's why Lewis is here today. And we truly would like to thank him for being here. He has a few different things that he's doing. I want to talk a little bit about, I know you're working on probably 3 or 4 different programs.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the one you want to talk about first and just cover what it's about, and make sure that, because if you know someone who can use these services, please, please, please get this information. If you have any questions, call here at the station, 312-738-1060, and get this information, because I promise you, it's we have to help one another. It's all about a village. I mean, really, if you get this information, even if you know someone, and just pass it on, pass it on, pass it on. We have to continue to pass this information on from one person to the next. That's how it gets out there, word of mouth. So please, if you hear anything that strikes a chord, please call someone and let them know what Lewis is doing. Also, the programs that we're offering and some of the other things we got coming up. Mr. Spraggins, talk about that first program. There we go.
Okay. So, first of all, I want to thank you, Mr. Chair, for having me on today.
Not a problem.
And also give my support to what he was just saying. You know, you get the information, you learn the information, you pass the information on.
Yes.
That's how I ended up getting the knowledge that I have.
Yes.
Mr. Chair says I have a lot of information.
Yes.
I have a lot of information, but there's a lot more information out there to get. So we always have to keep on learning. Each one teach one.
Yes.
So 3 programs, the 3 main programs that I work on at Southside Help Center. First is BTAN, which is the Black Treatment Advocates Network, Chicago, part of a national network actually, and Chicago has its own local chapter. I'll go into that in a moment. Second program is the HIS program, which is the health.
No, don't skip. I want
to go straight into it.
I want to talk about BTAN only because one of the things that we know is that so many people are going in that we want to say newly diagnosed, but oftentimes it's not a newly diagnosed individual. They're going in and getting AIDS diagnosis because people are not getting into treatment and care. We want to make sure that people understand how important it is, because BTAN is about connecting people to care, right?
Well, that's actually, BTAN is the network that connects all these different folks who are working in Black communities. Connect to Care is the one that gets
because I want to make sure that we get that, we touch on that, because it's so important, because people we really want people to understand that, you know, when you're diagnosed with HIV, that it is not a death sentence. That's not what that means. And so oftentimes, and you'd be surprised how many people who still don't know as much as they should know about HIV. And we realize that people don't really learn or want to know until it impacts them directly. Yeah. And it's sad, but it's a reality for us. And oftentimes I hear people say, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. That I'm around and it blows my mind.
When you saying I don't want to know, you saying basically I want to suffer.
That's exactly.
That's the opposite of what I understand people want to do. We don't want to suffer. We don't want to be in unnecessary pain. You know, there's some pain that comes throughout life. The only pain that we can really avoid is the pain that we get from trying to avoid pain in the first place.
Absolutely.
So, with that being said, important point, the Connect to Care program, C2C, Connect to Care. This program is a collaboration of 4 main agencies, one head agency that's over us, which is AFC, AIDS Foundation Chicago, and then a support and capacity building agency, which is MATEC, Midwest AIDS Training Education Centers.
Okay.
Now, the 4 agencies, Southside Help Center is one of those 4 agencies. That's where I work. We all basically have regional care coordinators. I'm a regional care coordinator. There are 3 other regional care coordinators at Chicago House, at Mercy Hospital. Actually, 2 at Chicago House and 1 at Mercy Hospital. So 3 other agencies.
So y'all kind of cover the whole. Y'all able to cover the whole city with that, with the 4 of you guys working in different quadrants or so. Okay?
Exactly. So we got North Side, South Side, City Central, and West Side.
Gotcha.
So Chicago House has North Side and West Side. Southside Help Center has the South Side, and Mercy Hospital, Michael Reese Hospital together have the City Central area. And the 4 regional care coordinators, which is what I am. What we do is we work with folks to find people who are HIV positive. Now, whether you are newly diagnosed, whether you have been diagnosed years ago and you never sought care, the point is, if you're HIV positive and you're not seeing a doctor, if you're not in medical care, we are here to connect you to a medical care provider, and we will work with each individual basically to connect them to a provider that fits them.
Let me make sure that we take that point home. Lewis will take you by the hand, meaning that if you're a family member and you are concerned with another family member, he will work with you because we also have support groups to deal with family. We have support groups to deal with the individuals, but he will take you by the hand and make sure you get what's needed. And that's one of the things that we find. And I told you at the beginning of the show that it's not about the pay, but it's the passion that Lewis has. And that's why it's so important that people understand that when you talk about Connect to Care and why there's different regional coordinators and different individuals, because he has a certain area that he works within, and he takes people by the hand and take them in. So if you don't know, it's not about you knowing. He knows. And that's what it's all about, is he knows. So that takes away so much when you look at the different steps people think they may have to take when they get involved or when they're impacted by HIV, be it family, be it individual, what have you. Lewis take away so many of those steps because he got the knowledge, he got the willingness, and he will make sure that he take an individual by the hand and get them where they need to be right here, right now. Again, if you have any questions, if you have someone out there that you can use these services, please tell them to tune in. Call in. Call us at the agency. You can call us at 773-445-5445. Ask for Mr. Lewis Spraggins. But please, please, please take advantage of the services that Lewis are providing when we talk about Connect to Care.
Yes, yes. So the whole thing is, we help you find, we'll give you a list of all the medical care providers. I sit down with you, I have this list of medical care providers, and I talk about, what do you want out of your medical care provider? Do you want a place that's a little more private? Do you want a place that's bigger? Do you want a place that's smaller? Do you want a place that has a lot of other services? You want a place that concentrates specifically on HIV and nothing else? We talk about that. I sit down with you and talk about that. We go through the list. I describe the different places, the medical care that's provided at each of these different places, and you choose the place out of this list that you want to get your medical care. I basically lay out the options for you, help you understand the options, then help you make the choice. After that, if you want, I can get on the phone and make your first appointment for you, or I can hand you the phone and you can make your first appointment. After that first appointment is made, I will pick you up, take you to your medical appointment, take you back home, and on the way there we can talk about things. While we're there, we can talk about things. Afterwards, we can talk about things to make sure that you can understand as best you can everything about your medical care.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't just pick up and start right there. I'll work with you from anywhere from 3 months to a year, and from there I can also help hook you up with other services so that you continue to get support and staying engaged in medical care, because this is one of the most important things that you can do. Like Cherry said earlier, it's not a death sentence anymore. I actually am a peer myself. I've been HIV positive since 2001. I look pretty good. I take good care of myself. I'm pretty healthy. I'm doing the things that I need to do. I've gotten the knowledge that I need to get. And now that I've gotten that, especially because of the support of folks like Miss Cherry,
Yes.
like Miss Smith, and so many others at Southside Help Center, and folks at other agencies too. Test Positive Aware Network, they're great people. They've helped me out as well. And because I've gotten this support, because I've gotten this knowledge, let me not forget Black AIDS Institute.
No, that's right.
Because without Southside started me off in Black AIDS Institute, giving me a lot of the knowledge that I need, I wouldn't be doing it. But I want to now help other folks get that knowledge, get their care, and stay involved in their care so they can stay healthy, not be going to the hospital all the time, not be sitting at home suffering all the time, but actually be living their lives, doing what they want to do with their lives.
Absolutely. Because and the other thing is he's not going to send you. I know this for a fact. Every place that he talks about that he has on the list, he's visited the places. He knows the people. So he's not going to send you anywhere where he hasn't already engaged. So he knows that the services that they're providing are what they say they are. That's so very important, because we know in the social service industry, so oftentimes you may get sent from point A to point B, and when you get to point B, it may not be what you expect, or it may not be what you would like for it to be. So one of the things that we make sure we specialize is in making sure we know who we're sending you to, so that when you get there, you know that there's a connection made, that there's a community of folk that Lewis actually knows. So it's so important that people take advantage of the Connect to Care program, because it's still true today. People are still testing positive, and they're not in treatment and care, and they're allowing the disease to live in them as opposed to them. I mean, it's really important that you take control of your own health. I mean, it's so important. So don't lose this opportunity. If you know someone, or if you yourself, and if you don't want to call us here, that's fine. But please take advantage and call Lewis at the office, 773-445-5445. Get involved in the Connect to Care program, because it is truly a program that supports people, by the people, for the people, all of that, and it's really true, and it's so important, because I found with HIV, it's never all about the individual. It's about all of those people who make up your life, all those people who support you. It's important, man, because
it's difficult to get the services, and because of all this stigma, because of all this negative thoughts and negative feelings around
talk
HIV,
about stigma too, because
big
still
thing.
big.
So basically, when you talk about stigma, you're talking about a set of negative thoughts and emotions that you feel as soon as you hear a word. So someone says HIV, bam, before you really even think about it, you get these negative feelings, these negative thoughts that go in the back of your mind surrounding it, and often those things influence our behavior. So we start thinking negatively, we hear negatively, we feel negatively, we decide we're not going to go to care. We decide, or there's also the stigma surrounding people knowing that you're positive. Well, for one thing, nobody's got to be in your business unless you decide to let them in your business. But for another thing, it's one of the most freeing things you can do once you decide to say, you know what, I don't give a care what any of these other folks think about me, because right now I have to deal with me, keeping myself healthy, keeping myself happy, keeping myself living, not surviving, because there's a difference between living and surviving. And for a number of years, I survived. I'm not trying to survive. I'm trying to live.
Absolutely.
And live well. So when we talk about stigma, we don't want to let these negative thoughts, these negative feelings, these fears get in the way of us seeking the care that we need. We don't want it to get in the way of us being able to live our lives, to date, to actually, if you're single and you're not with somebody, you can still find somebody that's the right match for you. And there's folks that are positive, as just as you might be, who will date you. There's folks that are negative. I've had folks, I don't give a care about the fact that you're HIV positive, because I know that you know how to take care of yourself and how to keep me from becoming HIV positive if I'm with you. I had a number of folks tell me that, I say as a bit of a point of pride, that actually they're right. I know the information, so I know no matter what partner that I'm with, how to keep them from becoming positive. So I don't allow the fear to get in the way of me being able to seek out a possible significant other. I don't allow the fear of other people finding out about my HIV status keep me from going to the doctor on a regular basis and making sure that when it's time for me to take my medicines, I take my medicines, all this other stuff. So
it's important. And let me say this, because there's been many studies done, and these studies become very important to us, because when we start talking about ending HIV, how do you do that? Or ending AIDS, how do you do that? And one of the ways is by individuals who have been impacted directly by this disease or infected that taking medicine, and the studies have been, I mean, they've done many studies where they had married couples where one individual was HIV positive, one individual was HIV negative, and people often say, how are they not contracting a HIV status? And one of the things is because they're taking their medicine and doing everything they're supposed to do. However it is that their doctor telling them to do it, they're doing it. And that, I mean, the studies and the numbers are phenomenal. So it's very important when you even think about people who want to have children. And before AZT, when I keep saying people, when women got pregnant, once they got on a regimen, the numbers dropped dramatically. Where we might have been 25, now it's down to 8. The numbers dropped dramatically. Go ahead, let's talk about it.
It's basically, there are very few, if any, children born with HIV if the mother is HIV positive. If the mother is able to find out she's positive and then begin to take her HIV medicines, because the medicines reduce the amount of HIV in her system.
Absolutely.
So that it becomes difficult for her to pass the virus on to her child before birth, during birth, and after birth. But in addition to that, and you mentioned the other study where we have these couples, one person, magnetic couples or serodiscordant couples, all this wording, but one person's positive, one person's negative. They have sex all for years, they're together for years, the negative person stays negative. The reason why is because the person who's positive is taking medications and taking them regularly as they're supposed to. It makes the viral level go down, the amount of HIV in their body go down, so it becomes very difficult to pass that virus on. And Shauna is telling us that we have a caller.
Yep, caller, you're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon, guys.
Good afternoon, good.
And it's a wonderful day that what y'all guys do.
Thank you,
brother. Listen, let's just flip it a little. Let's go to the people that still run around that has the virus and yet still they keep running and having unprotected sex with their partners or with anyone that they can. I know a few years ago they were trying to put a law about that. So can you inform me, did anything ever happen about that? And let me get out the air and hear your response. And again, y'all do a wonderful job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a very good point. Might as well bring that up. Actually, that law was instituted quite a while back, where basically they call it the criminal HIV transmission law. And this law basically states that if you're HIV positive and you know of your HIV status, then you cannot have sex with a person without letting them know that you're HIV positive before you engage in sex with them. And so basically when it comes down to this law, you have to inform anyone that you're going to have sex with about your HIV status, period. There's no getting around that. If you do not, then it can be basically considered I can't remember which class, but it's basically considered a felony.
Right.
And you'll serve jail time for that.
Right. And it is a felony because we used to have that question a lot where we knew people who were positive that was actually sleeping with people who were negative, because I mean, I told this story many times before. I met this sister. She was a very nice looking young lady. I mean, and she told me that for the first 5 years of her diagnosis, she said she tried to infect everybody that she could because she was angry. She felt like she got it from somewhere and she was angry. So therefore
somebody gave it to me, so I'm going to give it to somebody, as many other people as I can.
So she would victimize people. That's why we talk about having these support groups in place so that people who do test positive, that they can talk to people, and that's not the attitude that they take. But my point being to telling that story is back then we did a lot of research about it, and that's what they said back then. If people, they would have to inform you, and then that's the difficulty of it, because now you got to go to court and prove that they failed to tell you so. It's your word against theirs, so it's still very difficult to prove one way or the other, but it is a felony if you can prove that. And they also, if I'm not mistaken, back then they talked about it being an attempt murder charge.
I think that was towards the beginning. They kind of switched it over. It's basically considered a felony. You get a number of years for it. Now, but I do want to also address that, because the majority of folks who become HIV positive do not take that attitude where I am angry and I'm going to infect as many people as I possibly can. There is a small number, and I would not deny that there's a small number of people who are out there who, and these are people who are angry anyway, or are angry at other things, and they don't know how to deal with their anger other than to lash out at other folks.
Right.
So when this over towards HIV, now I'm going to take this out on everybody else. But the majority of people who become HIV positive actually kind of withdraw from other folks. They often stop socializing with other people. A lot of folks stop having sex. I went on sexual hiatus when I found out my diagnosis for quite some time, where I didn't want to have sex with anybody. And for me, as it is for a lot of people, the idea was I don't want to infect someone else. I don't want to have someone else have to deal with the complications, because while HIV is livable, having HIV is livable, it does complicate life some. So the whole thing is most people do not want to pass on that complication. But I'm not going to deny what this brother just said and what Ms. Cherry was just talking about. There is a small number of people out there who have this, I'm going to give it back to other folks' attitude.
But we always say this too, because people get angry about their own behavior. And we've been talking about that forever. You know, don't get mad about your own behavior. If you know you're being promiscuous, you need to make sure that you take the necessary precautions to protect yourself one way or the other. But don't get angry when we practice unsafe behaviors, when we always, it's in your control. So control it. And don't get angry when we fail to do what we're supposed to do as responsible individuals. And we know that this is not an easy thing to do. We've been talking about behavior change for forever. We know that once you've been doing something for so long, it becomes quite difficult to change a particular behavior. So we say take baby steps, being condom usage or what have you, and not equating trust for time, making sure that you get tested and all of these different things. So take control of your own that destiny when we talk about HIV status or whatever. If you know that you're practicing a particular behavior, then do what you're supposed to do.
Any other diseases?
That's right.
Come on now.
You don't be angry. Then really take control of your own life. So therefore, you don't have an anger. You're not angry about something that you did to yourself, because you should have did everything that we've been talking about for many years. If that's where you're at, that's all I'm saying.
If you know, basically most of us know, and by this point in time, that if I use a condom with every person I have sex with, then that reduces my chances of getting HIV, even if the other person is positive, by 99%. So you know that, but you make a decision not to use a condom. How can you get angry with the other person? Now, I'm not going to sit up here and say that it's not the responsibility of a person who's positive to tell their partner that they have HIV. There's no argument about that. That person is supposed to do that.
That's right.
But we know in the real world,
people don't always do what they're supposed to.
Say that again.
People do not always do what they're supposed to.
I'm saying, so if they don't always do what they're supposed to do, and this is the case, folks, sometimes the folks the folks you're sleeping with, you have sex with, or do other things with, are doing other things they're not supposed to do. So what makes you think now, in this particular case, they're going to do what they're supposed to do?
Yeah. So we're just keeping it real. That's all I'm saying. We're just keeping it real. So there you go. I don't want to get past the couple events you got coming up, because we're running out of time. We want to make sure that we cover those as well. Let's talk about those. We got the first one up. Let me put you on the overhead.
Okay, cool. So this is the post-IAS conference event. And see, IAS is International AIDS Society Conference. This is the World Conference on HIV and AIDS that happens every year. And this is the first time in 22 years, I believe, that it happened here in the United States, because we had a ban where people who were HIV could not enter the country. From what I understand, Bush began the process of lifting that ban. Obama followed through on it and made sure the ban was lifted. So this year, in Washington, D.C., last month, July, we had the World Conference on HIV and AIDS here in Washington, D.C. Now, basically, this is a big science conference. They talk about all the newest science from all these studies and experimentation and stuff that's going on around HIV when it comes to treating HIV, when it comes to treating the other illnesses that come from HIV or come with HIV, when it comes to all the behavioral change stuff like Cherry was talking about earlier. How do we work with people to help them change their behavior so they stop doing risky things or reduce the risky things they're doing so they have less chances of becoming HIV positive? The science from this stuff is all brought to a conference, but the conference is too expensive for most people to make it. And what we're doing is we're bringing back the information in this post-conference hub event. The first night is tomorrow night, Thursday night, at the Core Center, 2020 West Harrison. It'll be from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. The second night will be at Mercy Hospital, which is 2525 South Michigan Avenue, second floor auditorium. We will have another event going on there. So if you can come out, you want to come out, learn more information about that science, what's newest, come on out and find out the information.
Our time is just about up, so please, if you didn't get enough information, please do call the agency. The number is 773-445-5445, 773-445-5445, and get those dates. Also check the website, www.southsidehelp.org, and check out the programs, and we'll also make sure that that information is there for you as well. Until we see you again, Mr. Spraggins, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we bid you peace.